Guys, before we dive into the video, I wanted to make a very special announcement. We have a new shirt that is available for pre-order through September 7th. Dogs are an incredibly integral part of our channel. Not only the fact that we have Norman's beautiful face on it, but the fact that we are often the underdog in many of the adventures that we undertake. This shirt works perfectly. You guys have been asking about it for a long time. The shirt is available for pre-order through September 7th. Check out the link in the description below. All right, now let's get back to the video. All right, we had a little idea, a little breakthrough. Josh had an epiphany, if you will.
Normally don't see a chalk line on anything automotive, but doing some unusual stuff. Guys, we got some plans for stuff down here. We want to clean up that airflow as much as possible. I had a diffuser on my C6. Really want to try and make something like that work too. It really does glue the back of the car to the ground. Okay, so this guy right here, because I think that matches this right here. Yeah, corner. Exactly.
Follow that around until it disappears and then pick up the angle coming back over.
I like your style there, Pro Fabber. And then so we're looking at kind of middle of the axle in height.
Oh, we're getting rid of a dent over here.
Yeah, perfect. Kill two birds with one stone, I like it.
Good dent, though. It's a nice dent.
You sure that didn't happen when Squirrel tried to push it?
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
You pushing? Push on it. Come on, ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, how about you just give it a... All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Woo. Oh, man.
Oh, that's sick.
There's a golden on the loose.
Holly, what do you think? Holly.
What? Holly.
Apparently she doesn't like the truck. But I'm out of here.
I like it. Today we have successfully dropped 40 pounds of steel off this thing.
Well, if you count the firewall, 50, 60 pounds.
Yeah, actually maybe 50, 60, yeah, you're right. We were also talking about our little piece that we had right there. We are going to tie that in. One of these guys is going to tie in the back of the frame, and you had already made the little kind of caps to weld the
boxing in the frame.
Yeah, boxing in the frame, tying it all in.
Tabs off the tube to the last bed mounts back there, and then the tube will give us something to mount the...
You got this. You got a plan. Dang, man, my racing taillights are going out. Shoot. See what that body line looks like now. That's gonna be so sick with the freaking diffuser on there. And she is coming together.
So when you design your steering column, I assume you're gonna have a quick release. So have a spacer behind your quick release, so that when you pull your steering column off, your steering wheel off, now you've got a huge gap.
Yeah.
Because if you build the steering column all the way out to your quick release and it's all right here at your steering wheel, you take it out and you've still got a steering shaft right here in your face.
Yeah, I think the Motion one does have a quick release, but...
Yeah, I'm saying you want a spacer between the quick release and the steering wheel.
Oh, okay.
So like Innovative Racecraft, Troy makes them, Troy Jr.
Yeah.
He sells different ones, he'll build them different lengths. And it's nice because
part of the steering column with a quick release.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice because then when you snap it off, now you've got however long you're...
Tons more room.
I mean, I'd do a 5-inch extension. Saying I like doing 2 door bars, come down here, and then you're kind of come down just flat, and then you do another door bar that's right on the floor, and just ties everything together, and then we can come up from behind it and do kind of like a diagonal that supports this bar where it's up over your head.
Right, so that would tie that into there, and then you were saying as that transfers, you were saying the load would transfer into...
Yeah, anytime you take an impact on a corner, you want to spread the impact load around the whole cage.
Yeah.
So if you land your joints together, that's a good way to do it. Like if we do the diagonal here and then it comes down and It goes all, like if you take an impact here, it's going to bend the cage up there.
Yeah. Now, Laz, you were saying
spread it all out.
You were saying that the bottom door bar stuff would be a good idea because we could mount.
Come across that for some seat mounts.
Yeah. Is that how your Jeep is set up, or no?
Not mine, but my buddy's is. And the
Okay.
buddies.
Does it tie across, or how does that work? I mean,
Making a big H out of it, basically.
Okay.
2 bars coming across.
Yeah, you could run a bar straight across from the main hoop to the main hoop right above the floor.
yeah. And so we're gonna need a harness bar to tie in the back side of that around as well, and then.
And you said on the having the 2 door bars, the road race events, they like seeing
Yeah,
that.
a lot of the road race stuff that I've built recently, which is more Champ Car and some NASA, and they want you to have 2 door bars, especially on the driver's side.
Yeah.
Passenger side, they don't care about.
I like that idea and that kind of size, so that would be minimal problems getting in, entering, and exiting. You know.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
really,
and what you'll do is you'll grab a hand here and then just kind of just roll out.
all right. So, what do you think about that seating position, though?
I think it's going to be fun.
It's a little different, but
I'll shake it down for you.
yeah. Oh, I definitely want. Thank you guys so much for coming out and doing this, man. That's a major steps, and I mean, dude, we haven't done something like this, so that's a big thing to tackle. In the same way that we did the bead right there on that, do we want to try and do that on these?
Oh yeah. I was going to do like different triangles. Just draw out a pattern on it. The more pattern you put in it, the stiffer the panel gets.
Yeah, I like that.
And then you can kind of draw and just see what kind of design you want to have in the firewall.
Dude, that's definitely some major ground gain right there, man. All right, so guys, we got our front clip back on here, and now we have so much more room. That makes everything so much easier to deal with this. Laz, Josh, and George were working on this right here, and we kind of got an idea what we want to do. 3.5 inch exiting out like that, kind of being able to put a little bit of extra downforce with the exhaust, just pushing on the nose just a smidge. That was a
Napkin drawing.
yeah, it was a napkin drawing I did in a jiffy. Yeah, we have a lot more airflow going straight to the intercooler. That will have precedence now that we have decided that we are putting the radiator in the back. That is going to be a pretty short routing, and I think we're still going to be able to go about the same way, probably in like this and then just out straight like that. We'll have to get pretty creative on how we're going to have the heat exit and have a low pressure. Do that firewall and all that. That's a game changer right there, man. I really want to see how we can do some more heat extraction out the side, maybe the fenders or something like that. But that's going to be it's going to be something really interesting. This is meant to be our budget setup to the best of our abilities. This is not at all anything that it was just the baddest stuff that we could find. If we could do mirror turbos with a slightly bigger turbo, billet wheel ball bearing, hell yeah, that would be fantastic. However, these turbos were gifted to us, so we are definitely going to use them. We went with a 5.3 because we think we can be able to push it pretty darn far. Would it be best to get a Texas Speed 427? Probably. Can I swing that? No. We're going to make this work as best as we can. There's about countless things that we can do to this to improve it, but what we're trying to do is really make a date, make things work. We have the clock is ticking to LLS Fest, so we have a lot of stuff to do in a very, very short amount of time, and we're just trying to get this up and running, be able to do some dyno pulls, do some shakedown runs with it, but we're going to be able to build on it from there. Just trying to figure out what we're going to do here for heat extraction, and ideally we want to cut up the factory hood, but now that we have our heat exchanger like this, we don't have a radiator here. What we want to do is be able to have this thing extract as much heat as possible, but also be able to get rid of some heat, excessive stuff that we don't need. We're going to be working on some other ideas on how to shed that, but right now we're just kind of piecing up how we're going to fillet this thing up here. I think you guys might get the idea. This going down here, that kind of being blocked off there, and that's going to be able to, it's very much, as Laz, you said a little bit earlier, GT40S. But yeah, something like this that should be able to feed the turbo right here, while still being able to extract the heat as much as possible. So everything is obviously so flimsy, but we gotta. No, but I think we're getting an idea how things are shaping up now. Okay, so I walked up here and both my son and I said the exact same words, even though he didn't know I said this. They were like, "Oh my gosh, man, Josh, you're just showing off now. That's just so ridiculously perfect." So this is our methanol tank. This thing is gorgeous. Got a little bit of stuff that we still have yet to do with it, but this is going to sit next to the tank. We'll go do that in just a little bit and see what that puppy looks like. But Georgie, You were working on the studs a little earlier today. So we put our studs in there, and now we got our rear rotor there. We don't have our brake bracket yet. Hopefully we get that in tomorrow from JSM. Those guys developed a brake bracket for the ZL1 brakes, both front and rear. And so now, though, let's go take a look at the front, because you just machined the front hat. We really wanted to do that and see if this thing's going to fit. So we got her hung. It's really, really, really impressive at how big that thing is. So we just machined this out. George took the little porting bit to it. Let's hang that caliper up on there, and then let's try and get a wheel on there. So the guys at JSM, when they were building the bracket, they said, hey, you're going to have to cut this up. We don't know exactly what, but hey, when you put the bracket up there, you'll see it. So we will see it when we get it. All right, so you guys did mention, hey, that would be a heck of a lot easier to be able to machine down the hub, but we don't have a lathe yet. Hopefully, God willing, one day we'll have one. But for us, especially since we have a porting business, it's really no big deal. Dude, that looks like that's gonna work.
No spacer.
Yeah, it is no spacer. That's gonna work. That's not hitting up here. It's only hitting at the spoke. Wow. Dude, that is really, really big. That looks so sick, man. All right, so we had to regroup, put some wheel spacers behind it. That really fills out that wheel good. And that's our rear. I think that's actually 13.4 inches, and I think this one's 14.6, if I'm not mistaken. Dude, those are so impressive. I'm gonna get back and take a look, man. Man, that is a big difference in appearance. We still don't have our wheel spacing out just right. And that's certainly not sitting right at the moment. That's actually gonna get sucked in, what was it, about a ½ inch or so? Something like that. But we wanna go back out another inch. So we should be somewhere in that vicinity right there. And that one, again, these are just barely hanging there right now, but we're getting the idea what this design is going to come out to look like. It is, dude, that's mean as hell. All right, we got our Deechworks triple 300s in there. Let's put that little pup tank there for our methanol. See what that guy looks like. Oh, it's so beautiful. All right, so Laz, you and Josh were working on this a little bit earlier today, I see. What you got going on there?
Okay, we're getting the outriggers ready to go on the frame. And we kind of looked at it, and they came with nice plates to put on the end, and we did cap them and put them on. They kind of looked like that, and it was just a little bit.
That's pretty cheesy.
Yeah, so this is that time-consuming thing that when you start a project, you're like, oh, I can do this, and it'll look a little bit better.
Yeah.
And you spend
Well,
3
more
hours
time.
in doing it.
But it looks so much better.
So we got everything trimmed. They're all cut and plated. So all 4 of them will go in the frame.
Yeah. Another little welding tip with Josh, man. That is just ridiculous. He did this with the MIG?
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. Just like not even any spatter. It's like, this guy. I think we got the right guy in the job. He's freaking so good, man. Guys, this is a bogus motor. We had this thing in here for mock-up. So while we're doing all that grinding, there's nothing that's going into our actual motor. You know what? It's best to let the pros do what the pros do. And I actually had a really painful lesson one time on learning my own limitations. I had a short block when my 99 vet went down, and I was like, you know what? This isn't so bad. I'm gonna try and do this. And well, after assembling part of it and file fitting the rings, I had a ring kind of buckle, and it scarred up the cylinder wall and completely just made that a couple $1,000 piece of junk. So painful lesson for me to learn, but that being said, it's completely changed my outlook on a bunch of things. So guys, we took our 5.3. Now we are still stock piston. However, we had our local machine shop that we've had fantastic experiences with, A&S Machine. We put an aftermarket ring in there, and we have them file fit to really near the power level of what we want to be able to do. And I just said, hey, Gil, do it to it, man. We got plenty of other stuff to be working on.
1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
Keep it busy.
Yeah. We have like a list that seems to be growing by the day, but man, that thing looks pretty awesome.
He did pull the pistons off the rods, blasted the pistons to clean out the ring grooves and everything really good. Went 22 and 24 ring gap. and they are a steel ring, as you mentioned.
Okay.
Hone the cylinders and put her back together.
And George, so you got really good job on the set of heads. Let's go show those puppies right there, man. When you showed George porting the heads a couple episodes back, we were talking about how we wanted to reshape the combustion chamber. We have a target for what we want to hit with our compression ratio, because this thing is 11:1. I would just want to be like, let's just go a little bit more conservative so that we can throw a little bit more boost. A long time ago, I had a conversation with a couple of different engine builders, and the consensus was that raising the compression ratio a full point netted to somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3% power. We do like to run high compressions. However, with boost, I still like to run high compression. Now, 1 pound of boost, when you're really in a nice efficient area, theoretically, on paper, should be about 6% more power for every pound of boost. So doesn't always work that way. It totally depends on heat and the turbo and back pressure, knock thresholds, umpteen different factors. However, the point is that if we take a small 3% loss for a lot more than 6% gain, that's what we're looking at. Okay, so on the compression ratio front, we really wanted to be somewhere about 10.25 to 1 out. And again, guys, in the past, I have done E85 on 15 pounds of boost with 12 to 1 compression ratio on a 5.7 and made a whole bunch of power. It was a little bit more of a drag car. This thing, we want to be able to not just do drag, we want to be able to do some crazy stuff just over and over and all day long. These guys are pretty darn big, and what we're really trying to do, let the turbo do its thing unrestricted. So awesome freaking job, man. These things are opened up a lot. That's some pretty metallurgical work in there. Very nice, very nice. Definitely alleviated a lot of the restrictions, and the short side feels pretty darn awesome, man. The camshaft that we had sitting on the shelf, we were hoping that that was going to be perfect. We really believed that that was going to be perfect. We talked to Jared over at Brian Tooley Racing, who, by the way, is my hero. Jared, I love you.
Awkward.
Don't make that weird. Guys, by the way, Jared Kokenhauer was my idol for 6-speed driving for a long time. He had the first 8-second C6Z06, man. Just the sheer mention of Jared Kokenhauer had me all hot and bothered and totally got me all. With the camshaft, what we're trying to establish is making sure that we have good piston to valve clearance.
Okay, whoa, detour right there. Small little problem here. The L83 that we were running is the 5.3. Now, turns out that that actually has a lot less piston to valve clearance than the 6.2 L86 or LT1 engine that comes in the Corvettes. They have a valve relief. This one does not. So thus, our camshaft is not going to work without some sort of other modification. So currently, we are working on a solution for that.
All right, so guys, we learned a thing or two by messing with Leroy way back in the day, and in order to remedy that situation, we went straight to what we feel is going to offer the best solution, and that is TurboSmart's 45mm gate. So we contacted TurboSmart, and we were totally enamored with some of the tech tips that they gave us with that gate. So let's pop this thing open and see what this thing's all about here. You get a spanner wrench, you normally think you'd be getting like some coilovers or something like that.
Yeah.
Never seen a spanner wrench with a wastegate before, but so this is a big 45mm gate, and when I was talking to Chris over there, and he was basically saying, hey, this is the biggest, best flowing, he was saying this is the best flowing gate in its class at this size. Since we poured a lot of cylinder heads and all that, we know how airflow works, and this thing is pretty interesting. Like, I like the way that that valve is shaped.
There's a triangle cut.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember them, yeah, look at that, there is, you can really see the 3 angles right there. Chris was also telling me, hey, he's like, hey man, he's like, we actually have a 3-angle valve job that goes into this thing. I was like, well, that sounds pretty darn awesome. So really, the attention to detail, the dependability, and the consistency is really what we want out of this. I mean, there's nothing worse that you could possibly ask for than inconsistent boost. You know, when you're depending on your turbo to do something and the gate either sticks or you have a break in the diaphragm or something, you're either not going to be making the boost that you want or you're going to be making too much. Both are problems. So we feel that this is going to be the absolute best solution to what we have here.
Heat transitioning from the gate into the diaphragm could be an issue with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were basically saying...
it's little ports for water cooling.
Yeah, that's awesome. that's actually standard on all their Gen 5 stuff, I believe is what they were saying. That is a nice unit. And I think we got all the springs here to make some big gusto there.
But back to the heat, there's a ceramic barrier between there?
Yeah, I think that they were saying that they have ceramic that is even in where the valve guide is. They tested over 1 million times so that this is not any sort of issue. Thermal efficiency is their biggest claim to fame right there, and I really like that idea. They're like, yeah, we got Pikes Peak cars. Pikes Peak? That's a bucket list, right? That's right there, man. That'd be awesome.
All these have self-alignment joints on them too. It's not just a regular V-band, so when you get it up, it lines up perfect. You can see there's got compression on that.
Yeah, so it seals?
Yeah, so that valve is sealed perfectly on that. It's not sealed on the cast, it's sealed on the machine.
Yeah.
3-angle.
And though that might seem like a big gate, it's really pretty compact for what it has, and I really like the fact that we can adjust that thing however we need to.
Well, so you can rotate this, right?
Yeah. There is a way. I don't know how to do it yet, but I would imagine it has something to do with the spanner wrench. So normally, the big pain in the butt would be having to change out the 6 different bolts in order to get the top off to change the gate pressure.
You're lucky there's only 6.
Yeah. But now we have a spanner wrench in order to be able to do that. So that is actually what that's for there. Didn't realize it when we first looked at it, but that, I believe, is our blow off. Yeah, I want it all black. Ooh, it's pretty sexy, I will say. All right, so guys, we are extremely happy for TurboSpart's support on this, and this is an awesome product. I've spent a whole bunch of time on the dyno trying to troubleshoot some stuff off some junk Chinese gates and all that, and this is not that at all. This is the complete other end of the spectrum. We're not going to have any problems with this thing whatsoever. The diaphragms in here, they say consistently 200 psi can sit there and take it continuously, and they've tested these things at 2,000 degrees. I think we're going to be totally fine. We're not going to be anywhere near any of those specs, and we can upgrade this if we absolutely need to with a CO2 or whatever, but I mean, we're not really going to be going that direction necessarily, at least not yet.
Guys, every day with this project is an adventure. There are so many different things that I'm learning. Josh is a fantastic fabricator. Laz and George are shining with all the stuff that we got going on. There's so many different challenges, and we put a ridiculous confine on the time constraints that we have to get this thing done, but we are doing our absolute best to get this thing done. Stick with us. We got so much more information to share with you. This thing is going to be an absolute monster. God bless you guys. We'll see you next time.
It was like, then he got let's get all the dogs out of this.